Blog Talk Radio.
You got man enough to fuck with me.
I never said nothing to that.
Take out me on fire, man.
All right, what's up, boxing heads? This is your host, Scott, and welcome to the first unofficial episode of the Loaded Gloves Boxing Podcast, part of the greater Split D Boxing Network. I am waiting on my co-host, Victor Atkinson, to call in. He isn't quite ready yet, so I'm going to go ahead and start without him. We just finished the George Groves, Jamie Cox fight, and that was for Groves' WBA super middleweight title. And it was also part of the quarterfinals for the World Boxing Super Series tournament that Richard Schaefer has going on right now. Now, if you want to call in and talk about that fight or any of the other fights that are coming up this afternoon or this evening, you can do so by calling 657-383-0391. And I will put you on the air, and we can talk about anything you want as long as it's boxing related. Now, back to the George Groves, Jamie Cox fight for just a bit, and hopefully Victor will call in before I get through this fight. If you haven't seen it yet, spoiler alert: George Groves knocked out Jamie Cox with a pretty nasty body shot in round 4, and up until that moment, I had the fight scored 3-0 for George Groves. I know that the feed that I was watching, some of the commentators gave round 2, I believe it was, to Jamie Cox. I thought Jamie had round 2 in the bag until about the last 20 or 30 seconds or so, when George Groves kind of stole it from him. So yeah, again, George Groves wins by knockout in round 4 against Jamie Cox, and he advances to the semifinals against Chris Eubank Jr. Now that's a fight I'm super excited about, and I'm sure a lot of other people will be as well. Kind of right off the top of my head, or a really early pick, I think that Chris Eubank Jr. probably wins that fight. I don't know that he's the more accomplished or better boxer per se against Groves, but I think he's certainly, or more certainly, the fresher boxer. Groves is just those 2 wars he had with Carl Froch, I think, took something from him. And even though he's still a young guy, you know, and supposedly in the middle or even at the end of his physical prime, Groves just lost something after those 2 fights. And even today in the fight against Jamie Cox, Cox never really hurt Groves, but he had his moments in there against him. And, you know, he connected with some big shots. I think if Jamie Cox had any kind of respectable power, I think his knockout ratio is something like 54-55%. I think that, one second, I think that's Victor calling in, so let me do that. 757, you're on the air.
Hey, what's up, Scott, man? This is Victor.
Hey, what's up, Victor? Hey, it's my co-host, everybody. It's Victor Atkinson. So I don't know if you had heard anything prior to you calling in, Victor, but I was talking about the Groves-Cox fight. What were your thoughts on that?
Cox did a lot better than I expected, even though he lost in, the 4th round, 5th round?
Yeah.
I did not expect him to win any rounds at all, actually.
Right. Yeah, well, actually, like I said, I don't know if you had heard before you called in. I gave, or a lot of people I know gave Cox round 2. I thought Groves won all the other rounds.
Let's see. I gave Groves the 1st round. I gave Cox round 2.
Mm-hmm.
3rd round. I was watching on the stream. My stream kind of died in the middle of round 3.
Right.
So I can't even score that one.
Oh, okay.
And I got round 4 and just saw the stoppage.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was in round 3. Groves had a really nice round, connected with some. I know he kept connecting with like a 1-2 type of hook combination. He didn't really hurt Cox, but it was moving his head side to side.
You know what? After watching that fight, though, I'm thinking Eubank has a better chance than I thought he did against Groves.
Yep, that's exactly what I was in the middle of saying.
Better chance.
Right. Now, I think, like I was saying just before you called, I like Eubank in that fight in January only because I think Groves is kind of – he just had something taken out of him when, in the 2 wars he had with Froch. I don't know. And Eubank's a much fresher fighter. I think he's going to be a little bit more energetic in there. But I think it'll be a fun fight while it lasts. I definitely think it ends in some kind of stoppage or knockout.
You know, my prediction for that one, I'm going to go ahead and say my head is telling me that Groves is going to win. My gut is telling me Eubank by decision.
Okay.
My gut is rarely wrong.
So why do you think decision and not knockout?
Honestly, I am not too confident in Eubank's power. I think it's solid power, but I don't think it's. I don't see him stopping Groves with it. It seems better than it is because of the last guy that Eubank fought. But really, his Abraham fight, that was by decision, right?
I believe so. Yeah. I believe it was. I couldn't tell you 100%. I'd have to look it up. Right now. Okay. While you're doing that, it was just in case you're tuning in now, George Groves knocked out Jamie Cox in round 4 with a pretty nasty body shot. Cox couldn't get up from that. It took him a minute or two to get off the canvas. But now, again, George Groves is advancing to the semifinals against Chris Eubank Jr. So that should be an entertaining fight, regardless of who wins. It should be pretty fun. Now, did you find out that info?
Was by decision.
Okay, yeah. Abraham's even in severe decline. He's a tough guy to get out of there, just because of his guard.
Yeah, he's not an easy guy to finish at all.
No, not at all. But you know what? I agree with you, Victor. It's when it comes to Eubank Jr.'s power, I think he definitely has respectable pop in both hands, but I think it has more to do with his level of competition than it does his actual power.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think as he steps up and he continues to win, we'll kind of see that reflected in his record moving forward.
I will say this about the fight. Well, not that fight, but the Groves and Cox fight. That should not have been pay-per-view. I feel bad for the people in the UK that had to pay to see that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure where it was actually pay-per-view. I saw, because you and I both have followers on Twitter from all parts of the planet, and I saw some guys talking about, I'm going to order the fight, I'm going to pay for this, and I thought, why isn't this covered on Sky Sports or on Box Nation? Because it just, I don't know, it didn't, it was a good fight, 2 decent fighters, but it didn't, like you said, it's not really a pay-per-view worthy event.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening there. It seems like ITV or whatever did a pay-per-view for it, which I didn't even know that was a thing at all. I mean, I don't live in the UK, so I don't know a lot about that stuff. But
right. Well, I know him. It's definitely not something worth paying for. Even, I could see maybe if it was the cruiserweight tournament, it was the final match, and the road leading to that final fight was, hellacious for everybody. I could see something like that, but not with these guys. It's a good tournament, and there's some solid talent in there, but I think Groves and Eubank are probably the 2 best guys in there. So, yeah.
Which is definitely interesting when you look at the brackets. They're fighting now.
Right. Well, yeah, it was funny because going into this, I researched a lot about both guys. I mean, I knew plenty about George Groves, but I wasn't really familiar with Jamie Cox. And when he stopped him and they were talking about how Groves was the number 1 seed and Eubank Jr. was the number 3, I was kind of surprised. For some reason, my brain was telling me that Eubank Jr. was the number 1 seed and that Groves was number 3. So I was kind of surprised by that. Yeah, I don't know why I thought that. It was just something that was mulling around in my brain. So, did you have anything else to add, to the discussion about that fight? Or about either of the guys? Yeah.
Not really, but just for the entire card itself, What did you think about the stoppage on Wilson? What's his name?
To be honest, I didn't watch it. I spent 2 hours before the Groves Cox fight doing research on everything you and I were going to talk about today. So I had to skip that just in the interest of time. So what happened there?
Well, in that fight, the guy got dropped. Wilson got dropped. Got up. He looked kind of shaky, but it seemed more like he just got up too early, so it was just like stumbling. I mean, not really stumbling, but just shaky, you know?
Right.
And clearly cognizant, he listened to the referee, held his hands out, walked towards him, and then the referee just waved the fight off. I'm just watching this like, why did he wave it off there? It didn't seem like he should have stopped it there, you know?
Okay.
And because it's just on the undercard, I haven't heard anybody talk about it, but from what I saw, it should not have been stopped there.
Okay.
I think everything on that fight went to... No, there was one fight that went to decision. And back to why I think that should not have been a pay-per-view event. Mm-hmm. One of the guys on that card, I think... Was it the fight... It may have been the fight directly before the Groves fight. Was 1-14. 1-14.
Whoa!
Like that's
and that would have been
not something.
That would have been part of the actual televised like pay-per-view.
I'm pretty sure that would have been 90% sure that would have been there.
Jesus Christ, that's awful, dude.
How do you even go 1-14?
I don't know. You and you'll have to send me the info later. But I want to look at that fighter that was 1-14 because, like you said, there's a lot of, especially these days, there's a lot of talk about how does so and so get licensed or how does so and so, why are they fighting? Why is their team allowing them to come out for another fight or another round? So I'll have to look into that. Speaking of which, I wanted to talk to you about too. You said when you mentioned the fighter was 1-14 with both tournaments, and I noticed it first last week. Watching who fought last week in the cruiserweights, or no, the Eubank. I'm sorry, the Eubank. Yeah, during the Eubank Junior fight. It really didn't catch my eye watching the cruiserweight tournament, but watching Eubank last week and watching the presentation this week, there's something very PBS-esque about the entire presentation that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like the way they have the lights set up, the ring entrances are kind of like blasé to me. You know what I mean? They're not real. They don't have that. The guys aren't coming in with their entourage to loud music, and it seems almost like it's overproduced.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm the only one that feels that way, but I've noticed that. Oh.
It's not something I care that much about, but I have noticed it. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, the fights have been entertaining enough for me to not really, bitch about it online or even talk about it much here. But I do
say, "Oh, this tournament sucks because of it," or anything like that. Because the fights have been damn entertaining.
Yeah,
even that one. But everything else was solid.
Yeah, that fight was fucking garbage, man. But all the other fights in both tournaments have been really entertaining. So I don't have too many complaints. It's just kind of superficial. It was just something I noticed.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on then, since we've kind of run that horse into the ground. What are your feelings on the PBC card coming up in about an hour and a half? The Santa Cruz and Mares card.
That one. Santa Cruz,
yeah.
I think he's going to win. I think he's going to dominate. He's really fucking good.
Right.
And Mares, also favoring him there. I'm less confident about that one, but, it's not neither one of those is a fight that I'm really worried about,
Right.
I think the Santa Cruz fight is going to be a lot of fun to watch, though. A lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, Santa Cruz is always a guy, is a guy that always brings it. He's never gonna, just lay down or not turn in a decent performance. But I'm kind of the card disinterests me just because Santa Cruz and Mares should be fighting each other right now or today.
Yeah.
And then I know other people have mentioned it on their shows and on Twitter. I mean, Chris Avalos, why is this guy fucking fighting? There's another one like that, 1-14. You know, it's why? What's the point? You know, and then Abner Mars. I don't know too much about Andre Gutierrez. Are you really familiar with him, or familiar at all with him?
Anybody really is, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, he's a guy that you just don't know right now.
Right. Well, it's kind of sums up the card, I guess, for me at least, and I know a lot of other people. It's two names against one guy that should not be allowed to get into the ring, and another guy that nobody knows anything about. And if it's, you know, if guys like you and I haven't heard of Andre Gutierrez or don't know much about him, then you know it's going to be
right there.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge fucking mismatch. You know, I'm sure it'll make Abner Mars look really good, and I'm sure Leo Santa Cruz is going to be made to look really good by Avalos tonight as well. But yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on the card because I'm probably going to skip it and I'll end up watching it later.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing actually because you know it's the super middleweight card. Sorry, super middleweight. The junior middleweight card.
Right. On Showtime, yeah. That's coming up, I think, what is it, 6 or 7 Pacific time tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only guy. Right. I think the only guy I wasn't really familiar with on that card was Terrell Gusha. I don't know how you pronounce his last name.
A lot of people aren't. You're right about your assessment of him. You were talking about it earlier about how he's the guy that fights moving backwards, which is also why I'm confused why they put him up against Lara because it's like they don't want this to be a fun fight.
Well, yeah, it's funny because the other two fights are decent. There's enough intrigue there to keep, you know, guys like us like, hey, I want to just tune in just to see what the hell happens. But I mean, Erislandy Lara, at least from, you know, my money is a fairly boring fighter. And, you know, if I'm going to watch him fight, I want to see him in there tough because all he's ever done, I mean, he's talked more than he's fought his entire career. You know what I mean? So I think, and you're right, against this Terrell guy who's 20-0 with 9 KOs, by the way. But, you know, like you said, he fights on the back foot and, you know, he jabs more than he does anything else. So he's very, from what I saw today on YouTube, he's a very average fighter. I think he's there to make Lara look good. If Lara struggles with him, I don't know where he goes from there. But I think Lara will probably win a decision pretty comfortably. What do you think?
It's same. It's going to be a boring fight. But I will say that I actually think it's going to be more competitive than people are giving it credit. I don't think Lara's going to buck 20 or anything like that. But that's not because the other guy's good. But Lara he does just enough to win in a lot of matches, you know?
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. And now, too, he's older. What is he, 34, 35 now? So, you know, his best asset was his ability to move or his legs and his movement. So, you know, that's those reflexes and the ability to move like that go before anything else does. So you're absolutely right. It could certainly be a much more competitive than some people are making it out to be. But I still think it's going to be a fairly boring fight.
Oh yeah, it's going to be one of those fights that's competitive, but not in the sense that you even want to see it. You know.
Right. Well, yeah, it's going to be one of that. I'll probably be bitching about it in between each round on Twitter. So that's going to be one of those fights. Now, what do you think happens? Just to kind of speculate, what do you think happens, or what does Lara do next if he wins?
If Lara wins?
Yeah.
Let's see. When he wins, he's going to fight some easy opponent. He's going to talk about how he wants to get a big fight, but he's going to fight some very easy opponent that nobody cares about. It's going to call Golovkin or Canelo or something like that. Talk about how he beat Canelo, but that's not going to happen.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't even think if he was with HBO and was fighting all the time, super active, and was winning impressively, he would take either one of those fights again, especially in this day and age.
Yeah,
but
he doesn't want that fight.
Yeah, no. He wants to sit behind his PBC shield or Heyman shield and collect a paycheck by fighting, you know, once a year, if that.
Yeah. And then another thing, he can't. I mean, he could if he really, really if both fighters really wanted to, he could fight Jermell Charlo, but that's not a fight that he even wants. They have the same trainer, right?
I think so. But you know what? Even if they didn't,
yeah.
I mean, Lara is has that Mayweather-esque type of career where it's, you know, fight infrequently, and when you do, make sure that, you know, the deck is stacked in your favor. So even though I don't think either Charlo brother is an elite, you know, world beater at this point in their career. I mean, they're climbing towards that, but I think what is it, Jermell, right? Not Jermell. Jermell would probably stop Lara, I think.
You know,
and with
might be right about that.
And I say that because and I say that a lot about Lara because my mind always goes back to the Angulo fight. And I mean, you know, Angulo is a C-level guy that just comes straight forward with, you know, and that uses his chin for defense. So, and he had Lara, you know, hurt a couple of times and pushed him around and, you know, had his way with him, you know. So when I can't get that fight out of my mind whenever I think of Erislandy Lara. So it's like I see him against someone like, you know, Jermell Charlo. I just think he would push him and stop him probably late.
See, the fights that I think about Lara the most for are his fights with Martirosyan. And those are the ones I always mention to people whenever someone's like Lara's like this elite, like top 5 caliber boxer. Like, no, Watson versus Martirosyan.
Yeah. Right. Like he was sitting at the top of the division, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Well, you have to remember too that.
Twice, so it's not like you can like argue that that's like a fluke accident or some shit like that.
No. But you also have to remember, just to be fair, for our listeners, the people that talk like that about Martirosyan or about Lara aren't exactly the sports like most informed or intelligent fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same shit. You know, Floyd Mayweather's the greatest. Andre Ward is the best super middleweight and the best light heavyweight of all time. That it's that crowd, you know. And same people, the same fucking guys that tell you Golovkin ducked Lara like twice. Only just because Erislandy Lara said, I want Golovkin next. He's afraid of me. Well, and, you know, and then Twitter blows up with, oh, you know, Golovkin's on the run. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? You know what I mean? So,
I love how people think that you make fights by, like, talking on Twitter, too. Like, that's the way you make a fight happen.
Right. Well, what I always tell people, and I tell my wife, too, because she follows the sport, like, extremely casually, and she knows only what I tell her. But she has opinions like that too because she doesn't know a lot. She'll go, I'll say, oh, you know, this guy Erislandy Lara called out Gennady Golovkin. Oh, why isn't Golovkin taking the fight? No, you don't understand like that. On Twitter, it's promotion. It's either self-promotion or they're promoting a fight that nobody knows has been made yet. You know, where they start the back and forth shit. You know, or sometimes it's two guys that just don't really like each other, but that are never really going to fight each other. So, and you know, and I have to bring her onto my timeline and go, no, look at this, and then I show her footage like on, you know, on the TV. Look at this guy. Lara fights like this. Golovkin does this, and you know, and then she goes, oh no, wait, you know, that guy's never going to get in there with Triple G. So, you know, but with the guys that we're talking about on Twitter, you know, that demographic, you know, fuck you. You couldn't give him $20 billion. You know, you could give him $20 billion to say, hey, I want you right now to admit that Erislandy Lara is a mediocre fighter, you know, and that's now over the hill, and they wouldn't do it. You know what I mean? They turn the money down.
They have like some deep connection with the fighters too. Like that's their brother or their son or something.
Yeah. You'd think that they, you know, that they bought him like a home and, you know, set him up for life, you know, financially. Or, you know, or something else is going on, you know, like under the table type of thing, you know?
Yeah.
So, well, and you know what, to be fair, it's not just fans. It's, I mean, look at Max Kellerman, man. How many times have we talked about him even over on BDA's show?
Man.
You know what I mean? When he's like verbally filleting Andre Ward, you know?
When the fight has nothing to do with Andre Ward. Like, he will be watching a fight at featherweight, like, and this is the best thing about Andre Ward. Like, come on, bro.
Yeah, no, you're right. Or or the guy, or if it's not Andre Ward and we're watching somebody kind of like Erislandy Lara, where he's a mover, you know, kind of he has a cute style, then it turns into Pernell Whitaker, you know, the second coming of Pernell Whitaker, and it's like, what the fuck, dude? You know, you got these guys, sacks in your mouth, or what the hell's going on? Because I don't understand it. I don't get it when, at least to be fair, I think at least when guys like Kellerman does it, or Roy Jones does it, or like Paulie does it on Showtime, that's their job. They're being told what to say. They, through those earpieces they wear, and I'm sure they talk about that stuff before they ever go on the air, because they're always pumping that, the network agenda, the promoter's agenda, or the fighter's agenda, so. But, the people on Twitter, the guys and the girls that do that shit on Twitter, like you said, that, Mayweather didn't give him any money. Ward didn't give him any money. Where's the attachment? Where's the loyalty coming from? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, I know you're a Triple G fan like I am. If he fucked up in or out of the ring, I would be
like, we don't.
Yeah, I would be the first. Yeah, I would be the first. You and I would come on the air like with a special episode, and I'd be like, "Look, this guy's a great talent, but he really fucked up, or this is bad." It wouldn't be greatest middleweight of all time. He's just stupid shit like that, And I'm not going to compare, a middleweight 20 or 30 years from now that I'm watching to Golovkin when he's, 12-5 and he's got 3 knockouts, like Max Kellerman would, Well, that hook looks a lot like Gennady's used to back in 2016. No, that's not going to happen. Yeah. So let's keep it rolling. Let's go on to, or I want to move on to
Jermell Charlo, Erickson Lubin.
Yep. What are your thoughts on that one, man?
I'm actually predicting a TKO for this one. I think Lubin's going to get caught. I mean, honestly, Charlo lately, he's been more aggressive, but at the same time, he's been lacking defensively. It's kind of a weird change how that even happened, because he used to be pretty good there, but now he's just been getting caught more. But Lubin is the same way, only to a greater extent. And It's going to be a random counter. This is going to look so unnecessary. Like, why some guy even would throw a shot like that, and he's going to get dropped by it, and he's not going to be able to get up. And that guy's that's going to get dropped.
Right. Well, I watched the Lubin's. I looked at clips from a number of his different fights, but I watched almost his last fight almost in its entirety. I think the PBC had it up on their YouTube channel. He's an okay fighter. I think he's a solid guy, but I think even at this stage of his career, what is he, like 22? I think I had it written down. I looked in BoxRec. He's 22.
He's a young guy.
Yeah, young guy, and even if he gets knocked out, it's not the end of his career, or even his television career. But he has he has a fan friendly style, but I don't think he's busy enough. I don't think he's. I don't want to say. Well, neither guy really has a ton of experience, but I want to say he's not as experienced as Jermell. And I kind of think
when you think about it. When you look at the numbers, it's not that bad, but it's really about who you fought. He hasn't really fought anybody that's going to prepare him for Jermell right now. This is too much too soon.
Right. No, I agree. Which kind of makes me wonder why they're putting Lubin in there, or why his team would even say, yeah, let's take this fight. And I mean, you're fighting Charlo. This isn't like you didn't win, you're not fighting Mayweather or Golovkin or Canelo where you're going to get this, 7 or 8 figure payday. This is
boost for even being there too. This isn't going to be like a career boosting fight just for losing. It's going to be look at Julian Williams. He fought Jermell Charlo, and it's not like people looked at that and was like, yep, that means that Julian Williams is good because he did fairly well aside from sometimes getting knocked down. They're like, well, this proof he has a class all.
Right. Right. Yeah, I don't know. You mentioned when we first started talking about this fight that Charlo had kind of opened up offensively, and his defense kind of took a back seat or became less of a priority. I think I read that he had changed trainers recently within the last 2 or 3 fights. The what?
I thought that was Jermell and not Jermell. See,
was
the problem with this is
okay.
Their names are too similar, and they're twins, so I do this all the time. I might be wrong about this one.
Right.
I think it was Jermell, though, that changed.
Okay.
It was.
Yeah, because Jermell's when Jermell went up to 160 a couple of months back and made his debut, I wasn't expecting a knockout there either, because neither one of them were known as like punchers or sluggers, but he came out and he took care of business pretty, and looked impressive. But then Jermell did that was last 1 or 2 fights as well. So, and then I think I was listening to some other boxing podcast. I don't remember which one it was. And the host was saying, well, yeah, Charlo had changed trainers. That's the reason behind his, his increased offense and, his lax defense, or, opening his hands up and stuff. And I honestly don't remember what Charlo it is now. It could be Jermell.
Jermell's the one that changed. I just Googled it.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it was Jermell.
Guarantee you a couple of months from now, I'm going to forget which one it was again.
Yeah, well, when we talk about this, the outcome of the fight on next week's show, I'm sure we'll both have already forgotten. But yeah, I don't know. From what I saw of Lubin on YouTube, I think he's one of those he'd be good on like a Golden Boy card on ESPN or the Top Rank cards, kind of like as an opening bout, like a Friday Night Fight type of fighter. But I think he's more on the level of who's a good comparison, like Robert Guerrero, the Ghost, like a few years before he fell off that cliff and got old. Yeah, I think he's on that level.
He moved up in weight before he became a welterweight.
Right. When he was doing doing his job. But yeah, I think Lubin's kind of there. I think Charlo. I don't think Charlo, at least not yet. He's not on the level of I don't think he's an elite fighter yet. And he may never be, but I don't think he has the experience to for us to say anything like that.
Yeah, Lubin though, I think it's going to grow into be not great, but on the cusp of being great.
Right.
I think a couple of years from now he's going to be in the same spot Charlo is, assuming that he grows the way I think he's going to grow. This fight could fuck all that up though, honestly.
Yeah, no, that's true. A knockout can one knockout can end a guy's career or ruin it. But we've also seen how many guys come back after a bad knockout early in their career. Look at Manny Pacquiao; he was knocked out once or twice early. Yeah, exactly. And then they come back and they become these huge deals in the sport. I don't know that. Right, I don't know that Lubin's on that course or he has that talent, but. If he gets knocked out, that could make him, that could make him and his team go back to the gym and go, hey, we got to start over here. We got to make these improvements and make these adjustments. You never know. But I definitely think Lubin won't go away after tonight because he's really young. So we'll see him again either way. Yeah. So we're both picking Charlo by late KO or stoppage on that one. What about, I know you and I are going to disagree on this one, the Jarrett Hurd and Austin Trout fight?
Yeah, I'm picking Trout by decision, and I think it's actually going to be more lopsided than the Lara fight. But
really?
Not to say that, Hurd is bad or anything like that, but it's just going to be more lopsided. Okay.
And why do you think Trout wins?
Hurd had problems when Harrison was going southpaw. He had a lot of problems with Harrison to begin with. The only thing, Trout is just a better boxer here. The only concern I have for Trout is his age and his lack of activity. He's been commentating with us in fighting lately.
Right.
But if it wasn't even for those things, it wouldn't be a doubt in my mind that Trout wins this fight. Not a doubt.
So the Austin Trout that fought Canelo, or a couple of fights after that, you'd think he would definitely take out Hurd, or at least beat him.
Not finish him, but beat him.
Right? Yeah. I don't think Trout's finishing anybody.
Yeah.
I've got Hurd winning. I think he probably decisions Trout. I don't know. I don't think he stops him. I think, and the only reason I'm picking Hurd to win is because, like you said, Trout may have gotten old, and when a fighter gets to 34, 35, 36, the legs go, the reflexes go, and sometimes at the same time, their ability to pull the trigger goes. So if that's happened to Austin Trout, then I think Hurd wins fairly, not easily, but fairly convincingly. Yeah.
No, that's the thing that I've noticed a lot of people are actually picking the younger guy. Because, really, this card is just veteran versus, well, not even veteran, but, established fighter versus up-and-comer. That's really what this is, like this entire card. And the Trout versus Hurd fight is the only fight I've seen people picking the younger fighter.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I see this one is like you were saying. I see Hurd kind of being Al Heyman's guy on the way up, and Trout being the just the quote unquote opponent tonight. He's there for a reason, and not to knock Heyman too much on the PBC because we do that a lot. Like every promoter does this. They have a young guy that's coming up. What do they want to do? You don't throw him in with a Canelo or a Golovkin type of fighter, or, somebody really dangerous and proven. You put him in there with a veteran that's, maybe lost a step or two. And I kind of think that's what's happening tonight, especially because it's the PBC. Those guys generally, I mean, Heyman protects them, even after they're, established fighters and have these gigantic padded records, he tends to protect his guys more than any other promoter does or network does. But I just don't see Trout winning. And I know you're not the only one. I argued with somebody on Facebook yesterday about it because they were like, "You're crazy, man. There's no way Hurd's going to get outboxed and outlanded," which is possible if Trout has, still has his legs and his reflexes. Then it's definitely going to be a hard night or a long night for Jarrett Hurd.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. One thing I want to say about Hurd. A lot of people say that Hurd's win over Harrison came from a lucky punch, which not the case at all. He was definitely setting that up for quite some time.
Right. No, I agree.
And that's what worries me about this fight, actually, in the case of Trout, because if he gets caught by that, he might get finished himself.
No, that's true. Well, Canelo, I don't think... do you think... It's tough. God, I hate to compare Hurd to Canelo because it was years ago, but do you think Hurd hits harder than Canelo did at the time Trout faced Canelo? I
do. Honestly, I think Hurd actually hits harder than Canelo. Not a lot harder. I don't think it's most of his power or anything like that.
Right.
But also, I'm one of the guys that I didn't put a whole lot of faith in Canelo's power.
Right, yeah,
I think it's solid power. I didn't think it was this devastating power that he was made out to be by some people. Because really, let's look at this for a minute. The people that Canelo has knocked out are what? Canelo. That doesn't even make sense. Kirkland, Khan, Liam Smith. I'm missing a bunch, obviously. Those are the most notable ones I can think of, right? Am I missing anything notable?
I don't think so.
Yeah. He couldn't really brutalize Cotto. Didn't hurt, well, he didn't land that much on Lara, but, didn't hurt Golovkin, but that's Golovkin.
Right, yeah, that guy's rock solid, man.
It's not power that makes me say, oh, road beating power, it can stop anybody. It's solid and respectable, but nothing that makes me want to say,
Right. Just enough to get the job done, but nothing to, write home about, per se.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with that.
Hurd, I think he's a slightly harder hitter. Canelo's a better boxer, so he's going to be landing shots more often. But as far as just the power behind the punch, pure power. Pure power. Edging Hurd.
Okay. So then there is a chance that he could stop Trout if Trout's really faded.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like you. Even though I'm picking Hurd, I worry about Trout's ability to move. That could give Hurd a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Hurd's patient, though. Even if it does, he's not going to get frustrated in there or do anything dumb. He's going to be looking for an opening, and he could definitely catch Trout.
No, yeah, Trout's there to be caught. I don't remember who I watched him. I don't remember who he was fighting. It wasn't besides the Canelo fight. Somebody else kind of wobbled him, I think, or had him kind of on Queer Street. Mm-hmm. And I don't remember who that was. But the guy's there to be hit. Yeah, Trout's a good mover, but I kind of look at him the same way I look at Erislandy Lara. He's a good, he has a good cute style, and he's got solid fundamentals, but he's not an elite level or an A level guy. He's kind of the the next tier down. You know what I mean? He's always the opponent.
To me, Trout is the benchmark I have for fighters. Like, he's where guys like him, just in general, he's where I use to, like, see where you are as a fighter.
Right. And that's fair.
Not really elite yet.
Yeah, and it's funny because we mentioned Canelo a few times in this. Like, that was even going into the Golovkin fight. Like, I know that Canelo's gotten better over the years since those fights against Lara and Trout and even Mayweather. But it was like the Angulo fight sticks in my head for who was that we were just talking about? I think for Lara, the Lara Angulo fight. Canelo's fight against Trout and Lara kind of stick in my mind is where, well, these guys are not, they're a step above journeymen, but they're not exactly elite level either. If you're getting a close decision or controversial decision against these guys, maybe you're not as good as people want us to believe you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know Canelo's...
with those guys, though, is that they're really not good matchups for Canelo stylistically, because Canelo, if you just have anything close to above average movement, Canelo's going to have a lot of problems with you anyway. It doesn't even matter who you are.
Right. No,
Good
that's very
fighter,
true.
He's kind of limited.
Yeah, he's got good upper body movement, but his footwork sucks, or is like subpar.
Bad.
Yeah,
so bad.
Well, that's the thing. Even rewatching the Canelo. Right. Oh God, he's a standing heavy bag. God, I know a lot of people will disagree with me on that, but God, man, that guy's, I don't know, that guy's feet don't move, and he has no. Well, at least Canelo's got the upper body movement. Danny Garcia just.
Yeah.
He's
there.
You talk about guys where I wonder, hey, is this guy maybe overrated a bit? I mean, how many gift decisions has Garcia gotten just in the past 2 or 3 years? You know what I mean? Am I right?
The fight was so bad.
Oh my God! Who was it Mauricio Herrera?
Yeah.
Yeah. That I thought
was the worst decision Danny has ever gotten.
Yeah.
Biggest gift.
And people
Biggest
forget
gift.
because. Well, yeah, big time, and people forget because not only because it was years back, but because of the way it ended. The Khan fight, I had Khan like soundly beating Danny until the knockout happened.
He was.
Yeah.
But that's an American fight, basically. Boxes beautifully, gets caught by something stupid.
Right. But yeah, that's true. But I get what was it? Danny Garcia. Crap, I totally lost my train of thought on that one. Let me go over our show notes real quick. We covered Groves and Cox. Let me do a quick shout out before we move on. If any of you listening want to call in and talk to Victor and I, you can do so by calling 657-383-0391. We'd love to hear from you, and if not, that's okay too if you're happy listening. So do you have anything else to go over about tonight's fights, Victor? Or anything in general, for that matter? Anything to rant or bitch about?
I'm still in my boxing protest, but...
Right.
Yeah, this protest is going to go on for a while. The only thing that I'm going to break this one for coming up is the, Juan Geck versus Estrada fight. I'm going to break it for that one.
Oh, okay.
But nothing else this schedule makes me just break this protest. Going strong.
Okay.
Going strong.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, dude. Okay, if if Juan Geck wins, are we going to put him on the pound for pound list? Because really, if you think about it, he kind of should be there, just off of who he's beaten on paper.
Right. I don't know. I'd have to think about that one and give it some thought. It's a good question, though. Let's see. I don't even know. I hate to make an official pound for pound list for either this show or even for myself, because it's like every day I think something different. Even about the guys at the top. But I would say, let's see, the best fighters in the world for me right now are definitely Golovkin, and this is in no particular order. Just off the top of my head, Golovkin, Canelo's up there. I still think Kovalev is up there until he looks bad again. I won't bump him off that list because I thought he was winning when the fight was illegally stopped against Ward.
Right. I mean, like, I don't even see how you can argue against that. He was definitely winning that.
Yeah. It was a tight fight like the first one was, but with all the fouls and then the illegal stoppage, I don't care what the official thing says online or what any sanctioning body says happened. I know what I saw, and the fight is not allowed to end on a foul. So to me, Kovalev is still he's my number one light heavyweight until he proves that he's not what he once was.
Until somebody actually cleanly beats Kovalev, he is still number one to me.
Right, and he should be for most people. Now I know we have guys like who is it, Bivol and Beterbiev or Beterbiev, however you pronounce his name. We've got guys like that coming up that are, I think, especially at this stage of Kovalev's career with all the crap he's dealing with, like in and out of the ring. I think those guys could potentially knock him off that pedestal. But who else have I got in that list?
Light heavyweight is so sick.
Yeah. I mentioned I don't know if you were the one that replied to the tweet, but I retweeted somebody's thing about who did the WBA promote to their regular champion? Was it Bivol? Yeah. They just awarded him the full championship.
They just gave it to Bivol.
Right. Okay. So Bivol's the champion for the WBA at light heavyweight now, and he didn't have to do anything for it, but yeah, which I guess is nice for him. It doesn't work for fans too well, but if that fight ever came off, and if Kovalev isn't what he used to be, and it kind of looks like he might not be, I think Bivol's a threat or Bivol's a threat, and so is Beterbiev.
Everybody.
I don't think
even guys that people don't talk about, like Marcus Brown, is a threat. Nobody ever mentions that guy.
No, you're right. He definitely could be. But I tweeted to get back to my point. I retweeted the thing out yesterday, and I think it may have been you that replied, where they had promoted him. WBA had promoted Bivol to their full-time regular champion. And I quoted the tweet and said something to the effect of, with Ward's inactivity and retirement, or inactivity no longer looming over the division, now it's exciting and wide open again. Because Ward Ward beating Kovalev or having any title in any division is the worst fucking thing that can happen to that division. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad that turned out the way it did because, let's face it. Given Ward's track record, he was not going to fight these guys. It was just
right.
Ooh. And then you have Stevenson holding the other belt, basically.
So the entire division was on lockdown, right? What did you have? You have PBC on one end, or with Stevenson, and then you had Ward and Rock Nation on the other hand. You know what I mean? Which is just, holy shit. Talk about a clusterfuck.
Yeah.
But now, even if Kovalev doesn't retire, he doesn't move up, whatever happens to him, it really doesn't matter. Like, we have all these other guys that are, some of them are big punchers, you know what I mean? There's a lot of talent coming up. So, like, the division is it's just, oh, my God, it's just, it makes me hope that, it kind of makes me hope that.
Good division. You've got the power, you've got, like, a range of styles, you got amateur pedigree, you've got Olympians, like, it has everything.
Right. No, you're right, man. And you know what? With the two tournaments, I don't know how successfully financial the World Boxing Super Series tournaments have been or will be when it's all said and done.
I want this to be a huge success.
Dude, me too. I'm a huge fan of tournaments. Not only because there's that kind of that WWE kind of storyline thing to follow. You can get behind a guy and follow their progress and be like, now I can't wait to see this matchup or potentially this one down the line. But it also consolidates divisions. It brings belts together, which for me, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, and so will a lot of our listeners, is it's one of the reasons I love Golovkin so much. He's unified, 3 of the 4 major belts, or 4 of the belts, and he doesn't have the ring, and he doesn't have, what is it, the WBO, I think the black belt, or IBO, I don't remember which one he does.
There is no reason that Golovkin shouldn't have the lineal in the ring. Like, him not having that makes absolutely no sense.
Well, see, yeah, but you get guys, and I won't mention any specific names, but you'll probably know who I'm talking about. You get guys in the media that work for some big networks and some publications, and you get the networks and everybody. Well, Golovkin didn't beat Sergio Martinez. He didn't beat Miguel Cotto, and he didn't officially beat Canelo. But it's like, you know what? When the guys that are the lineal champions drop belts, it doesn't matter whether it's
the division.
Right, when they vacate a division and go, I mean, Canelo went to super middleweight to fight a totally faded and blown out Chavez Jr. and then came, before he fought Golovkin, and before that he fought who was that? Liam Smith? Liam Smith at 154, just so that he didn't have to take the Golovkin fight. And now as a disclaimer, I'm sure that there was business dealings between K2 and Golden Boy going on while all those fights were happening for Canelo, to get the big fight made. But when those guys, when the champion, when a lineal champion vacates titles, vacates divisions, chooses or has the ability to select anyone he wants, but elects to fight the weakest champion in another division while they avoid you, I think that lineage breaks. Would you not agree? You know what I mean? I mean, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, and to add to that, Golovkin has cleared out everyone in the division. He's fought everybody, and he beat Canelo regardless of what the cards say. He's beaten everybody they put in front of him, and he's done it convincingly. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of think too that Golovkin had a more difficult time with Danny Jacobs than he did with Canelo Alvarez. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, you could argue that. I mean, at the same time, you could argue it both ways, though, because Danny Jacobs did get dropped, Canelo didn't. But at the same time, as far as rounds legitimately won, Jacobs probably did more.
Right.
Or at least kept it more competitive in that sense.
Right. Well, I think him and Canelo did a lot of slapping and shoe shining in their fights against Golovkin. You know, it looks good, but they're fast punches that, you know, like the pool noodle punches, when they're used in a fight, they don't really score because they hit gloves or they hit elbows or something, you know. But yeah, going back to what we were talking about, lineage or lineal champions, I'm not huge on them just because of the drama, you know, like that we're talking about now, where you get guys in the media or, you know, guys from specific camps. Well, they never beat my guy. Well, your guy fucking vacated, dude. Your guy dropped 2 weight divisions and then went up, you know, another division above the guy that has a legitimate claim to being the undisputed middleweight champion, you know. And I know I won't crown Golovkin the undisputed champion until he beats, who is it, Billy Joe Saunders, or the winner of Saunders Lemieux, if that fight happens. Oh my God. But
I want that fight to happen so badly.
Now let me ask you, because I want it too, just as bad. Do you want it because you want to see the division potentially unified and consolidated, like completely or wholly, or do you just want to see Billy Joe Saunders get the shit knocked out of him by David Lemieux?
Honestly, leaning more towards the latter. I mean, it's both of them, but really, really want to just see Lemieux beat Saunders down.
Yeah, it's Saunders is one of those guys. He's a good fighter. I'm not going to say that he's like a cab driver. He's not a ESPN Friday Night Fight kind of level guy, or even a like a mid-tier PBC fighter. He's got solid skills, but the guy doesn't punch. He doesn't. Him and those videos him and Tyson Fury put out where they're both looking fat and look like they had eating the extra large wings, Buffalo Wild Wings, or the English equivalent of that. It's like if you're blowing up like that in between fights and you're getting older, the dedication and you're already a mediocre fighter. You're not a Hall of Fame, a potentially Hall of Fame worthy fighter. So you're not going to stay on top of your shit. And all Saunders has ever done is fight, very carefully selected, limited opposition. So, yeah, I'd love to see Lemieux like knock him out. I think that would be fun. And I think honestly, I think a David Lemieux win over Saunders, whether he gets the winner of Canelo, Golovkin too, I think it's way better for the sport and way better for fans than a Billy Joe Saunders win.
Yeah, it is, because Lemieux, he's an exciting guy. He actually wants to fight.
Right.
He's someone who should want to have a title, you know?
Right. Well, and with Lemieux, he's either going to knock somebody out or he's going to get knocked out himself. So, I mean, you know what I mean? It's like can't miss TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully that fight comes off. I haven't seen anything in the last few days about it. I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday.
I just saw the WBO just ordered it, and nobody has actually said the fight's really going to happen or not. I don't think it's going to happen, honestly.
Why not?
I just have a feeling that something weird is going to happen. Something, just a gut feeling, which, again, very rarely wrong in these things. Something strange is going to happen. Maybe...
Do you think
maybe we might get lucky and Golovkin-Saunders happens first in December? Because, I mean, the WBO just ordered it, so a unification trumps that. That could happen.
Yeah, you know, I don't think that I would love to see that happen. I would love Golovkin to beat the living hell out of Saunders more than I would Lemieux, but I don't think that happens because I think the rematch. I don't know. So I don't know who would, you know, who's going to tell Golovkin you can't take that fight in December. But I don't think Golovkin or K2 is going to want to take any kind of chance whatsoever with either guy fighting and something happening, injury or dropping the fight for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I mean, all that money in the rematch, you know, coming on Cinco de Mayo is huge. So it's going to be one of those scenarios where, you know, I think it was Steve Kim reported that Golovkin was not going to be fighting anybody in December. I think it was him, but that was at least 3 weeks ago at least.
Honestly, though, I don't think that's a good decision. If I'm the guy in charge of just Golovkin's matchmaking, I want him to fight somebody else instead of Canelo first. I want to keep him busy. Yep,
especially at his age.
Yep.
Well, you know, that was funny because heading into the first Golovkin-Canelo fight, I was originally picking Canelo just because of how Golovkin looked against Danny Jacobs. He didn't look bad, but that wasn't we've talked about it on BDA show. That wasn't the same guy that we had seen before, you know?
Yeah.
So he was just doing things differently. And some of that was, of course, was Danny Jacobs, and some of that, yes, was Canelo, but, you know, and because they're they're elite fighters too, but so, you know, a lot of people don't want to either admit it or talk about it, but there's something different about Gennady Golovkin. You know, and he's 35.
I'm glad we got to talking about this. A lot of the things that are different aren't things that come with age. It's weird. Like, why is there a lack of body punches now? What is that about? There's like no body work now. He's headhunting all the time. He seems more limited in his attacks, which is something that I always praise Golovkin for, like the variety of his attacks. He would do a lot of not odd, but a lot of things that are just hard to deal with. He would turn his punches over. He would like change his hooks into something else, like make you think he's going to the body. He's really going to take your head off. Just that type of stuff. That is gone now.
No, you're right. And it's not just the body attack. I've noticed, and this could be something that comes with age, his ability to cut off the ring is not as precise or as aggressive with it as he used to be. I saw him chasing both Jacobs and Canelo around a lot more. I mean, he still cuts off the ring with a high level of efficiency, but it's not like it was.
Yeah, and I know. He used to be like a mirror and like react immediately to what you were doing.
Right, and that the reflexes that I know is probably part of his
age.
Right, but you're right. There's things there like I know I talked to Michael Montero of Montero Boxing, and I've commented, had a back and forth with a couple of other guys on Twitter where they're like, well, hey man, you know, you're right. Golovkin's not the same guy, but it's his level of competition plus age. But I'm telling you, I've been watching boxing so long, and when you watch it, even for just a year, you see the same things happen to different fighters as they come and go, and you know their careers go up and down or sideways. The same things with promoters, the same things with networks. And I'm telling you, when I look at Golovkin, the way he fought against Canelo and the way he fought against Jacobs, yeah, some of it was age. Yeah, some of it was his level of competition. Like, there's no denying those two things. But there's something different about the dude. I'm telling you. And you know, I don't know what it is. I have no idea. I haven't heard, you know, nobody's talking, nobody's saying anything. But I have a really hard time swallowing the pill that, you know, that says it's just age and it's just, you know, facing elite level competition. Because when other great fighters, yeah, I just, you know, like I said, I can't put my finger on it, but it's that je ne sais quoi, you know, that little something is missing from Golovkin's game. You know, the whole time I was watching the Canelo fight in the theater, like, I'm used to seeing him do certain things, body attack, cutting off the ring, and even his aggression. Like, and I know people are gonna say, well, he doesn't want to get countered by you know, Canelo. Well, of course, that's fair. But even Canelo said, and Jacobs has said, he doesn't hit. You know, I don't know what all the hoopla is about. His power isn't what they say it is. You know, and I don't care if he was knocking out B and C level guys before he fought Jacobs and before he fought Canelo. He hurt Canelo a couple of times, and he knocked Jacobs down, and I thought he was going to stop him. So the power is there, or the ability is there, but something's just off, man. You know, and I think you're the only one I've talked to that sees or doesn't see the things that I used to see either, you know, or agrees with me on that.
Yeah, and I don't even know why everybody else hasn't noticed it. It's pretty noticeable. I don't know. I mean, I get it if Tom Loeffler or, you know, somebody associated with Golovkin, like, you know, Abel Sanchez comes out and says, no, he's not getting old. He lives clean and he trains every day. He's a gym rat. You know, and that stuff helps. Exactly.
But it's
like they're supposed to say that.
Right. Just like Eddie Hearn said he thought Danny Jacobs beat Gennady Golovkin after he signed Danny Jacobs. You know what I mean? And everyone's jumping. Everyone on Twitter's, you know, shitting their pants and, you know, throwing up both middle fingers. Fuck Eddie Hearn. What the fuck is he talking about? Dude, guys, he's his promoter now. What do you expect him to say? Well, yeah, he lost to Golovkin, but I'm going to make sure Danny's career takes a turn now. You know, well, you know what I mean? And, you know, it's like I own my own business during the day. My wife and I own a web marketing business. If the business was in the shitter, I'm not going to, you know, tell prospective clients, well, we're not doing well right now, but sign up anyways. You know, you don't do that. You know, and it's not what you do. You know, hey, we're the greatest company in the world. That's why you're going to sign on with us right now. You know, so yeah, I don't know. I'm glad we brought that up, or that came up too, because that's something, and it's going to bug me until the day Golovkin loses, probably not retires, but loses, you know, like where it's he either gets knocked out or he drops, you know, where it is an actual like 10-2 type of fight. Because something, there's getting old, and then there's fighters that get old. I've seen fighters get old, and then I've seen fighters that just change. Something in them changes. They either lose their passion, like Kovalev. Kovalev's an excellent parallel to what we're talking about. Something in that guy changed. I know there was rumors of him having a drinking problem, which I don't know whether or not those were actually true. They're probably bogus. But there was that. There was, you know, the rumors, which turned out to be true, of him and John David Jackson having problems. You know, he's, you know, the talk of him being stubborn and real obstinate and kind of being an asshole. You know, I'm going to do things my way, fuck everybody else, and I don't care. I can do this. You know, none of that stuff's good for a career. It doesn't matter what career, even if you're working the Carl's Jr. drive-through. You know, I'm gonna take orders the way I fucking want, and I'm not gonna push the right buttons. I'm gonna do it the way I want to do it. Well, you're gonna get fucking fired, dude. You know what I mean? That's just the way it works. You know, so but that's what I see when I look at Golovkin, and I'm sure you'll agree with that, at least partially. There's just, I don't see a fighter that's gotten old. I see those small signs of decline, but I still see a really talented, effective fighter, but not nearly as elite or as effective as we saw just, you know, 12 or 24 months ago. And I don't buy the age thing, because before the Canelo fight, I remember everyone would call into other podcasts that I know you and I listen to, and you know, and the hosts and the co-hosts and other callers would say, no, he's only 35. He's not 39. He's not turning 40. It's 35, guys. Relax. But now after the Canelo fight, well, he is 35. Well, what the fuck? What is it? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's like make up your mind, because I saw those things I saw kind of shades in the Brook fight, but I really saw
the Brook fight. It was weird.
Yeah,
I attributed that to just him not. I don't want to say not caring, but him not caring.
Right, and you know what? I've heard those rumors too. Like when they were he was having his training camp for Canelo. It was Abel Sanchez said some things. Oh, Gennady's motivated again. Well, maybe he's gotten to the point where, I hate to say Kovalev, because I don't think he has the problems Kovalev has, but he's gotten to that point in life where it's like, well, I'm 35, I've already made a lot of money, and he's kind of like he's got like one foot out the door. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe that
about Golovkin that I've noticed though, he seems complacent now in his fights.
Right.
Which isn't something that we saw before. We used to see a sense of urgency in him pretty much all the time. He was always looking to finish you, to break you.
Right.
Now he seems complacent, just fine to just bank rounds in. Like, oh, okay,
right.
I won. Cool.
Right. Well, even when he knocked Danny Jacobs down, I thought, the Golovkin that, I hate to say the Golovkin of old because it's not that long ago, but the Golovkin of old wouldn't have let Jacobs off the hook. I know he tried. He wasn't not trying, but it was different. Like you said, the aggression and that, especially that sense of urgency, like, I'm going to put on, the big drama show. Everybody wants the big drama show. I'm going to finish this guy and knock him out of the ring. I don't see that anymore, and I know people are going to come at me. It's age and it's, there's something missing, man. There's just something not there that used to be there. And I saw, it reminds me of, I know you weren't around because you're much, much younger than I am. I think I'm old enough to be your dad, but, Mike Tyson back in the day when he was in his prime when I was from the time I was about 12 or 13 to the time I was about 20, from like 85, 86 to
died and how he kind of changed.
Yeah. And then, and being as young as I was, I didn't, and there was no internet in those days. So I didn't know, I knew he was married to Robin Givens and, I knew the rape thing, and you heard about that on the news.
Rough. Like nowadays, we can just Google everything we want to about a fight.
They go, Errol Spence didn't look good tonight. I wonder what's wrong. Well, let me go on Google. Oh, the guy's getting divorced. The guy's mom is sick. You know what I mean? The guy's kids are assholes. You can find out everything about a fighter, and you know exactly why they look like shit or why they look great. You know what I mean? But let me check. Okay, we got about 22 minutes left. If anybody wants to call in. The number is 657-383-0391, and I've got a caller on hold, so let's take that real quick, Victor.
All right.
111, you're on live with the Loaded Gloves Boxing Podcast.
Scotty.
What's
Hello?
up? What's up?
Hey, can you hear me?
How you doing, man?
Yeah, I can
What's
hear
going
you.
on, Vic?
Who's this?
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, this is Jimmy. What's going on, buddy? I called you next round, Scott. What's going on, kid?
Not much. How you doing, Jimmy? Good, man.
Pretty good. Hanging in, dealing with some health issues, but almost over that. But I was going to miss this show. But when you were just talking about Tyson, I don't remember if you heard the show when I called in that night. And funny story, one of all the times I've seen things with boxing, thing that really sticks with me. When I was a kid, I'm actually Tyson's age, a few months younger, but. We were hanging around, and I think it was Mickey Ward's cousin came in and goes, hey, listen, a kid coming down from Team Vermont. And that's the first time I heard his name. He didn't know his name, Tyson. He just told me about this kid coming down from Team Vermont. He's supposed to rack everybody with one shot, right? So the city was a buzz about it. It was at the Nationals. And so, of course, in comes this man-child with Customato, Kevin Rooney, Teddy Atlas, the whole crew, right? And he's not talking to anybody. And a prison guard fought him, like a 26-year-old prison guard, big Irish guy. And Tyson was only 16 at the time. And, of course, so we're all, waiting to see. And the Irishman won. He beat him by a decision, outpointing him, right? And so, yeah, we all followed it. So we all followed him into the back where after they fight, they all go into the dressing room. He went and he started to trash. Went berserk. They had to go get Cuss. I believe it was Cuss who went in. I didn't see who actually went in and calmed him down. But, dude, he was fucking destroyed the place. He went berserk. But, so he was always a little off kilter. You know what I mean? And What it was he had the Muslims pulling at him with Farrakhan, trying to control his career. They were arguing, and then he had this guy, Bill Clayton, I believe was his name. And, of course, he was Jewish and the Muslims, and they were battling. Now, it was bad. Everybody was just grabbing at him, pulling from different directions. Then they find out Don King was charging him $8,000 a month for towels and shit. It was just crazy. So, yeah, you should check that story. Yeah, I guess it was like $8,000 a month. But, so he was getting fucking raked over the coals. So that's pretty much happened to him. But now, Scott, is this going to be a weekly thing every Saturday night or?
Well, actually, Victor and I are doing the test. It's a test podcast today. It's like the dress rehearsal, but we're going to do it on Sundays.
Oh, excellent. That's great, man. That's awesome. That's great. So what time? About the same time?
Yeah, probably the same time. I've got to work out a few kinks with, because I've got 6 kids and a wife to work into things, so I've got to clear everything with them first. But yeah, the plan right now is to do Sundays, just so we can talk about the action the day before and the shit coming up the next weekend. And then Victor and I will have to get our schedules like gelled, and then we'll be ready to roll on a consistent basis.
Well, I wanted to tell you also, it's coming in clear. Sounds really good.
Great.
It's coming in nice. I just wanted to let you know that too. It sounds really good and shit. But
shit, man.
So what's up, brother?
I was gonna say before you say that, I wasn't expecting you to call in, Jimmy. So I fucking feel like I've made it, like I'm famous.
Scott, you're a good guy, dude. Hey, listen, I really enjoy your stuff. You're right, man. You're doing a great job, and I know you got your hands full. Plus, you're a musician too, so you got a lot going on. But who do you got tonight? What's your predictions for the 3 junior middleweight thing tonight? Who do you got?
I've got Lara by 12-round shitty decision. I've got Charlo probably late stoppage over Lubin. I'm thinking around round 10. Yep. And then I'm actually picking Hurd over Trout by decision, which everybody is raking me over the coals for.
That's the only one
I'm leaning that way too. I think what Lubin's going to run into kind of a Gary Russell situation. I mean, remember before he fought Lomachenko, pretty much fought all no-hopers and fucking cans.
Right.
And then when he stepped in. So I think Lubin, unfortunately, if you look at his thing, actually I think Breadman said it too on the tail of the tape. He's faced nothing but the same guy. It's like a slow prodding, Latino. He's not, you know what I mean? This will be someone who's got quick hands who can bang. I think, you know what I mean? He's never come up against that. So for that reason, I'm definitely picking Charlo. But I'm with you on that too. I think Hurd, although a lot of people think he'll outcraft him. But you can't. What is he? 35, 36 years old now? Is he that old?
Yeah, I think
Trout's up there, right?
34. Yep.
Yeah, man. Fighting's like anything, dude. You got to do it all the time. If you're not fighting, sparring's one thing, but if you're not in there, those legs go quick, and it's a terrible place to find out is when you're in the middle of a fucking fight.
Well, let me ask you. Go ahead. Sorry, Jimmy.
No.
I was gonna ask you because you mentioned age and the legs going out and being active when you get older. Victor and I were talking about Golovkin and how he's kind of a different fighter the last couple of times he's been out. What are your thoughts on that, man?
All right, I was at the one in New York with Jacobs. I think it was his size. It really was his size. If you look at all his fights, even Rubio, who's taller than him, Rubio. He's been able to manhandle pretty much, shove everybody off him. Jacobs had so much size on him, and I think that kind of messed with him a little, and Jacobs did a very good job. I think a lot of people aren't giving Jacobs the credit he deserves. I thought he fought a brilliant fight that night. He did what he had to do. He definitely didn't win the fight, but he did what he had to do. With Canelo, I don't know. I don't understand why he didn't go to the body. But listen, the leg's always the first thing to go, right? That's. I mean, in any fucking sport, it's the legs. Who was the aggressor at the end of the fucking fight? Triple G looked like so did Canelo, but he wasn't. He didn't look old. He didn't look slower. I think he was. I don't know. See, a lot of people are going to be pissed and hear this. I kind of think he's fallen in love a little bit with his power. I don't know. I think he's trying to one-shot people a little, trying to pick that perfect punch instead of just letting. listen, it's like anything in sports, right? They always tell you in coaching. I grew up playing ice hockey, and they tell you once you start thinking, you're screwed. You have to practice something where it's reactionary. You know what I mean, Scott? You play guitar, right? You do your scales. Yes. You don't think about it. Your fingers just do it, right?
Yep, exactly.
It's the same thing with boxers. If you're not reactionary, if you're just not reacting to it, if you're thinking about your next move, shit's happening too quick in there. So I think what happens, too, I think Canelo, he knew Canelo couldn't hurt him as much as, like, another middleweight, like maybe Jacobs could have. So I think he was kind of, I don't know. I just thought he was trying to headhunt a little bit. I don't understand for the life of me why he neglected the body. The age, that's a decision thing. That isn't an age thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. He's very, listen,
that's what we're talking
excellent. He's excellent, everyone. But listen, like most of the only one who doesn't do this is Lomachenko. But most, especially Kovalev, you can see it. Like I described it once as like, you know when an airplane comes down on an aircraft carrier, right? And they tell them if everything isn't perfect, they have to fucking nose up and pull out and come all the way back around and do it again.
Right.
Klitschko was like that. Remember, if he get him out of position a little, he has to step back and get back in that position. Kovalev was like that. Triple G a little bit too. Lomachenko is one of the few who can just throw those from any angle. So I think that hurts Triple G a little bit. I still think his conditioning is insane. It just reminds me of Hagler in that capacity.
His conditioning makes no sense.
I'll tell you,
like a robot in a good way.
It's crazy, his condition. And the only other person, like I said, I was fortunate enough to go down to Brockton, down at Petrucelli's gym, and when Mickey Ward spot Marvin Hagler has a half brother, Robbie Sims. I'm sure you never really He was middleweight. Yeah, and Mickey went down and spotted him, and I'll tell you a fucking funny story, man. I never told it on the next round. Mickey hit him with a body shot, dude, and he shit his pants. Literally shit his pants. Dude, he fucking clumped over. He's like, he ran out of the ring, had to go in the bathroom. Shit his drawers.
Oh, my God.
Fucking shit. And I'll tell you, people have, about Mickey, too, man, I'll tell you, what he always did, like, people don't realize, I mean, I can't even count how many times Mickey beat me up in the ring, because we had one down in my basement, he had one 3 streets over in his basement, and I spot him all the time, you know what I mean? We used to always go down there and fuck around. I used to wear a flak jacket, Scott, right? It's like a zip-up flak jacket type thing, and these are 14-ounce gloves, and we'd get down there, and he would pat, tap you with your little taps to the top of the dome, right? You bring your hands up, and he would sense it, and he would just dig that fucking left hook, pat, pull, right under your elbow. And I try to tell people, like, I would much rather get fucking knocked out or punched in the head any day of the week. When you get hit with that body shot, dude, and all of a sudden, right, hey, you can't catch your breath. It's and then your legs go bye-bye, and you fucking go right down. You can't feel your legs. I'm telling you, it's horrible. That's why. What's that?
I was going to say, that's what happened to Jamie Cox a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, I didn't end up seeing what happened at Cox lost.
Oh, yeah, George Groves hit him in the it looked like a liver shot to me, but it was definitely a body shot, and Jamie just dropped. He couldn't fucking get off the canvas. Yeah.
And there's nothing, listen, you can't even catch your breath. You're sitting there. I remember Mick, like, you'd reach down, and I hated wearing fucking boxing cups. I used to wear my hockey cup because I just hated those things. But he used to, all right, dude, catch your breath. But, yeah, no, they're debilitating. That's why I was so impressed that in round 9, remember when Toro got off the fucking canvas in round 9 and Mickey Ward won? I cannot believe to this day that prick got up off when he fucking broke his ribs with that body shot. And I'll tell you, I saw them. I saw them after in the hospital, Scott. I don't know if you heard when I told that story, right? They had Mickey's hands in bowls of water. They had Mickey's hands in bowls of water, right, with ice cubes. And it was funny, too, because they were both taken to the hospital. They didn't know they were going to the same hospital. And all of a sudden you hear, like, and Toro was Italian, but he had kind of this French accent type thing because he was raised in Montreal there. But he had a weird accent. But anyways, they found out they were there before I got in the room. But all of a sudden, I guess, Mickey's like, hey, Toro, is that you? And it was just a slider between them. So they opened up the slider. This is after the first fight. That's how they became good friends, was after the fight at the hospital. And they were like, but anyways, I come in at the time, I was engaged, and my wife at the time would come in, and I'll tell you, dude, she was like squeezing my hand. His hands didn't even look human. They were so fucking swollen, dude. He had the injuries. The doctor told me he had 4 teeth punched down into his gum line. He had a fractured auricle bone. He swallowed 2 pints of blood. They had to pump his stomach. He needed 33 stitches inside his mouth. Toro had broken ribs. These dudes, I'm telling you, they beat each other. Fucking next to the
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. But Mickey knew, though. Mickey knew after the third fight, when I asked him, I was like, hey, and he's like, no, dude, I felt it. He knew it. He just knew it. He says, I was lucky enough to notice. Like everything just, even to this day, man, it's sad. He goes, like the last time I saw him, he went to get up real quick off the couch, and he kind of stumbled a little. His equilibrium was still a little messed up. Remember when he went down in that fight when Toro caught him with the shot to the air? Yep. He fought that whole, I think of the second fight, was it? Fought the whole second fight with his equilibrium was fucking shattered. You know what I mean?
Man, yeah.
So he was a fucking, he's a killer. But he was a great athlete, too. People don't realize he's a great wrestler. He was a wrestler in high school. He was like he was pre-MMA. Mick's a good dude. He's a good guy. Should get him on. I'm gonna say get rid of this health thing. I'll run into him. Maybe we can try to get him on the show one night for you. You guys,
that'd be amazing.
That'd be amazing.
Oh my God, that'd be great, man.
I'll definitely ask him for sure. I'm telling you guys. You guys talk to him. Within 5 minutes, you'll be like, wow, what the fuck? I mean, I know everybody says, oh, he's a good guy, he's humble. He's the type of dude, if I introduce you to him, Scotty, when he asks you how you doing, what's going on in your life, he wants to hear the answer. You know what I mean? Like he's a good dude. Yeah, that's
a rare thing.
He's a legit, and he never cares, and he still gets awkward about the fanfare. Like he's just never been comfortable about that type of shit. He just never. He's just a good dude. So I'm sure he'd have no problem. You know what I mean? So, it's, but for sure, listen, I'm sure you got other people calling. I'm over here rambling like a zipperhead.
No worries, dude. You can spend as much time on the air with us as you like, anytime you like.
Thank you, brother. I really appreciate that. Great show.
No problem.
You got a fan. I'll be listening every time you guys have a show. And
awesome.
Hey, Vic, it was nice meeting you, buddy. My name's Jimmy, by the way. It's Vic, right? Victor, your partner, Scott.
Yeah.
Hello?
Wait for a minute.
I'm sorry.
There he is.
I just wanted. I'm sorry. I'm checking in and out. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say. Anyways, gentlemen, listen. I'll let you guys get going. But next show I'm definitely in. Just I'll be looking for it for sure.
Okay, awesome. I'll let you know when we go on, Jimmy.
Excellent, Scotty. Thank you, partner. You have a great night. Vic, have a good night. Be safe.
All right, you too. Take care, Jimmy.
Yeah, great having you here, man.
All right, that was Jimmy DiMarino of the Jimmy's Corner fame usually on the Next Round podcast with Steve Kim and Gabe Montoya, but we were lucky enough to have him call him in. Now we've got Victor. We've got about 7 minutes left. I wanted to ask you really quick. I guess we can close the show with it about what you thought, and I'm sure I can guess, and so can our listeners. What you thought about the whole Ortiz fiasco and the Bermain-Stavern taking his place.
Oh, yeah, that. Okay. That fight was never going to happen. There was no way that was actually going to happen at all. I mean, Wilder's a guy that, let's face it, has avoided every single tough fight possible.
Right.
And then tries to fight Luis Ortiz. That was, no.
Yeah, no. What do you think? I've actually, believe it or not, I've actually heard a couple of people on Twitter say that they think Bermain-Stavern's going to come in motivated and in shape this time, which I think is complete fucking horse shit. What do you think?
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah,
no. He's going to come in the same way he came in last time. It was going to be a shit fight. I mean,
right. Yeah, I think Wilder stops him probably in 3 or 4 rounds this time. I don't think it's going to go very long.
Yeah, it's not going to go to decision like last time. Which
itself
is kind of sad that it went to decision the first time.
Right. It was. I think we talked about it on the other show, on BDA's show. I think it was either you or Reverse Boxing that said Stavern came in almost dead, like with dehydration or some other problem.
Yep. Yeah, I missed that one. We talked about it on Twitter. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But it's like I always ask myself, who the fuck lets their guy go in like that? Like. You know what I mean? Even if you're just a hired hand, like even if somebody pays me, hey dude, train me, take care of me, work my corner. My job, even if I don't like you as a person, my job is to protect you. You know what I mean? So it's who the fuck is letting that happen? But
the shittiest business possible. This is
I think the only fucking industry that's worse than boxing or business that's worse than boxing or shadier is probably the music industry. And like,
you could argue with that, but at the same time, music industry, you're not getting beaten up for a living, so.
Yeah, but there's others. Dude, I've been a musician for, God, what am I now? Almost 32 or 3 years. Like, and I've never been a professional musician, but I have friends that made it to that that landmark or that level, and the shit that goes on. It's all everywhere in every industry, but man, there's like a lot of parallels that I could draw. But yeah, when I was kind of pissed off when they announced that Louis Ortiz failed his drug test, I wrote a rant about it, and then the next day when the details came out, and I found out that he was he popped for the blood pressure medication, I got even more pissed off because I take the same fucking medication. So I thought, what the fuck is this all about? Why isn't this fight being pushed forward? And then when I heard, I don't know if you listened to the next round, but I was listening to this last week's episode. Victor Conte was a guest with Steve and Gabe, and just listening to that guy talk, I thought, man, there's no way this fucking fight shouldn't go forward. But then, and then I think Team Ortiz said, we'll do a hair follicle test or whatever. And then since
the hair follicle test doesn't even matter. They're going to stand by their decision.
Yeah.
They also said, I think it was the WB. What is this? The WBC, WBA? Who is it?
Yeah, WBC.
Okay,
Mauricio Suleiman.
Yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure they said the main reason they blocked this fight is because they were concerned with Ortiz's health.
Yeah, that was the other thing that kind of...
That was the official... But say that's the Vern fight, the first fight.
Yeah, and how many guys, and I couldn't name them off the top of my head or even count them on 5 hands, but how many fighters have we seen from just the WBC where they sanction a fight between a champion and somebody that doesn't even belong on Friday Night Fights, or between, like the last time with Stavern. I mean, fuck, the guy was almost dead, but he was allowed to get in the ring. Or even... And then now Stavern is,
What's interesting, though. What's interesting,
though,
we don't have a lot of time. We've got like 2 minutes left. What's interesting is
What's
interesting is that Ortiz came out and said that they agree with the decision, they respect it or whatever, which tells me that there's a reason that they're not speaking out against this. I think money changed hands there.
Yeah, you could be right. Well, it is a dirty game, so... yeah, I don't know. I just, God, the whole thing... Like I said, I'm not a conspiracy guy, because ever since I finished college, everything is, if somebody's going to make a claim or some kind of assertion about something, you got to have the fucking evidence there. You've got to have something to support your claim. But knowing what kind of business goes down sometimes in boxing, backroom deals and things on the side and promises and stuff like that, I wouldn't be surprised. It just seems like a really convenient excuse for Wilder to fight someone like Bermane Stavern. And I mean, fuck, the guy's his mandatory challenger, and he hasn't fought once in 2 fucking years.
Yep.
Take that shit out of here. And then they added. God, we only got a minute and a half left. But who was that? Who's the on the undercard? Who's the undercard?
Or what versus Molina?
Yeah, holy shit, dude. You know what I mean? Are they trying to get people to not tune in? You know what I mean? I mean, you have a WBC heavyweight champion fighting, even though he's fighting a 39-year-old, guy that's probably not healthy and is probably out partying and eating all the time, and coming off of a 2-year layoff. But do you want ratings or do you not? You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? So we got just 1 minute left. Did you have any final thoughts before we go off the air?
Not really. I think it's pretty much everything. Not a lot of time left either. 45.
Yeah, okay, well then, we'll end it there, and then we'll be back hopefully every Sunday, probably around the same time. We'll get our schedules worked out, and if you like what you hear, make sure you follow Split D Boxing, which is me on Twitter at SplitDBoxing. You can also follow me or like me on Facebook. That's facebook.com/SplitDBoxing, and you can support the podcast and the Split D Boxing Network on Patreon by going to patreon.com/SplitDBoxing. So on behalf of myself and my co-host Victor Atkinson, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys next week.
All right.